Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to this episode of the Rosaline Batul Show. And before we get into the thick of it, just a reminder, a trigger warning that what we discuss in today's podcast may trigger you, but I'm speaking from a place of love. I want you to be the best version of yourself. I want you to grow into yourself and blossom into the woman that Allah designed you to be. So if anything triggers you in this episode, take a moment to yourself, ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? And then carry on listening, because my intention is to always elevate you, upgrade you, raise your frequency, and get you closer to Allah. Okay, so let's get into it. Religious trauma. What is it? Now, this is what I just got off Google. So you can Google this yourself to figure out what religious trauma is. But the things that stand out for me is, number one, there is like this huge feeling of shame that you have around your being. When you have religious trauma, it's like you're doing the inner work, you're doing the healing work, you're doing the journaling, the meditating, but something inside of you still feels guilty and shame, like you shouldn't exist, you shouldn't be on earth. That you're a bad person, you're an evil person. And especially for us women, we believe that we're just like devils and we're meant for hell and there's no purification for us. So it's like a form of self-hatred that turns into shame. And that self-hatred can cause suicidal ideation, low self-esteem, depression, self-harm. The women I work with have had all these symptoms. And that's because when you go to the root cause of it, they have a lot of religious trauma around their idea of who Allah is, who God is. Okay. This is also for women if you were raised in a Christian environment or a Jewish environment or any religion or cult that shamed you for your existence. Because I want you to understand that religion is not meant to make you feel bad. It's actually meant to improve your life. It's meant to be a lifestyle. Religion, like when I look at Islam, Islam is not a religion for me. It's a lifestyle. It's like a lifestyle I choose to live by that I know is going to make me a better human being. It's not about me trying to constantly purify myself because I'm damned to hell. I see Islam as a way of saving me and protecting me. And safeguarding my mental health. That's how I see it. But when you've gone through religious trauma, you actually perceive religion as this dogma kind of religion or cult. It's like a cult-like ideology where God is always punishing and you're hypervigilant, which is another sign of religious trauma, where you're constantly hypervigilant and because you believe that God is just here to punish you. And you may have also been raised on these apocalyptic ideas that suggest that the world is going to end in a violent way, and this increases your anxiety. So you're always in a state of anxiety, fight or flight, like your body is so dysregulated that any form of safety can't penetrate in your body. Like whenever you're doing the healing work, you're reading self-help books, yeah, it gives you that validation, but then quickly you go back to the feeling of harm, low self-esteem, depression, and suicidal ideation. Now, that's the extreme version of it. You may not be extremely there, but there's another sign of religious trauma is you have difficulty making decisions. And I see this a lot. Because when you experience religious trauma, you are used to waiting for someone to make a decision for you, especially if you're a woman and you were raised in a household where your father was very dominant, very violent, very overbearing. You struggle with autonomy and making your own decisions. And this is like a very small sign. Like you've done the healing work, you've done the journaling, but then you're thinking like, I just can't make this decision for myself. I need to ask my friends. I need to ask my family. I need to wait for someone to tell me what to do. That is also a sign of religious trauma. It's a sign of trauma within itself, but it could go back to religious trauma if you have been doing the healing work, if you have been going to a therapist and you're still finding yourself in this cycle of difficulty of making decisions. It could be because of that. Another thing I find as well is lack of boundaries. When you have religious trauma, you allow people to walk all over you because you have this blurred sense of non-existence. It's like you don't exist as a person. So you're meant to be abused and you're meant to be used. And whenever people hurt you, you're just like, it's okay, it's meant to be that way. And you're very like forgiving to the point that you let those people back in your life that have hurt you, right? And that's a sign of a religious trauma. And another one is mental health disorders, which I have noticed a lot with, especially with suicidal ideation. I've noticed that the most common mental health disorder when you have religious trauma is suicidal ideation, where you just feel this need just to unalive yourself because you ask yourself, like, what's the point of my existence? Why am I here? To be punished? I'm a mistake? Like, God created me to punish me? That's the kind of mindset you have. And this is what happened to me growing up. This is why I am so like passionate about this topic, because I've lived it, I've experienced it, and alhamdulillah, I'm thriving now. I no longer have any religious trauma. I've healed from it permanently. I have no disconnect from Allah. I'm so connected to Allah that I get so many downloads and intuition. Like, I'm very intuitive. I've always had this gift. And that's another thing actually with religious trauma. Every person is born with a spiritual gift. You are born with a spiritual gift. But when you have religious trauma, that is taken out of you, especially as a woman. As women, we are naturally intuitive. It's natural. It's like a primal instinct. We have this gut feeling, and it's natural for us to have that gut feeling. It's been ingrained in us. It's been encoded in our DNA. But when you have religious trauma, you are constantly misjudging yourself, mistrusting yourself, feeling disassociated from your body, feeling like you're wrong. That's because you have been indoctrinated with a sense of lack of self-worth. It's like you have no worth unless you're hating yourself, unless you're burning yourself out, unless you're struggling and striving for heaven. You're not worth anything. If people don't see you struggling, they don't see you as worthy. They don't see you as worthy. If you're not struggling and your life is great, you're perceived as Allah is punishing you. That's why I've heard a lot that if you're having a great life and you're not being punished and you're not going through challenges, then you're being punished by Allah. But the mere existence of being a human being is challenging enough. Getting out of bed is challenging enough. For some people, that's a huge challenge. But when you have religious trauma, that is downplayed. And you're taught that you have to go through something severe like the prophets in order for you to be considered as a worthy human being. But your severity of a challenge could be getting out of bed. It could be eating. I used to struggle with eating a lot. I used to have an eating disorder. Could I have body dysmorphia, which alhamdulillah I've healed from now and I eat well, but I could not eat. For the life of me, I could not eat. I used to hate food. I would just live on caffeine. Caffeine and cigarettes was my thing when I was young. That's all I used to live on. I was skinny. I was like a size 4, maybe a size 2 in American size. And I was so skinny and I was just so unhealthy because of this lack of self-worth, right? So when you have these religious traumas within you, it all goes back down to your being, to your identity, around who you are. It's like you believe you're unworthy, but the mere fact that you believe you're unworthy is arrogance. Is you believing that Allah created you for no purpose. When Allah says He created everything with a purpose, even the cockroaches. I always ask my husband, why did Allah create mosquitoes and cockroaches? I did the most annoying things in the world, because we have cockroaches here in Africa and it's not that bad. Alhamdulillah, we have it all sorted. But when I see a cockroach, I'm just like, why are you here? But then I realized, right, that they survive any world war, like nuclear bomb. So if people survive a nuclear bomb, they need to eat, right? And a cockroach is what you can eat because it's high in protein. I Googled this. It's high in protein. So if you were just to kill a cockroach, like it will give you enough nutrients to survive. I was just like, Allah, you see how perfect Allah is? Also with mosquitoes, right? They're like a bite. It's like an effect. It's like cause and effect. When you have like a pile of poop, what comes from it? Microorganisms, right? Things grow. It's like Allah is showing us abundance, that anything can grow from anything because that's how Allah created it. Allah is showing us that abundance is everywhere. That even in a pile of poop, there will be maggots that will turn into flies that will just roam the earth. Because that's how abundant Allah is. Allah can create anything from anything, nothing to something, right? But when you have this belief in your mind that I'm unworthy, which is what religious trauma creates, you are actually saying to Allah, He made a mistake in creating you, which is arrogance. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to be different. You're trying to say to yourself, I'm different here. I'm not worthy like everyone else. I'm different. I'm unworthy. So you're trying to separate yourself. And there's no separation in this world. Allah says if you were to unalive one person, it's like you've unalived the whole of mankind, meaning we're all one being. We're all one consciousness having separate experiences on earth. We're all one. The Prophet ﷺ said that when the ummah is like one body, when one part of the body hurts, the other part hurts. It feels it. So we are all one. We're not separate. And there's another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says that the believers like bricks to each other. We are bricks, we're like a wall. And each believer is a brick that strengthens the foundation. We are all one, right? But this concept of unworthiness creates separation. This is where fear comes into it. And this is where the devil comes and promises you poverty. And this is where the devil inspires in you poverty and bad things like feeling unworthy, feeling hopeless. You know the word shaitan or iblis? Iblis is the root word of hopelessness in Arabic, right? So the shaitan promises you, inspires in you poverty, inspires in you lack thinking, inspires in you unworthiness. When you're feeling disconnected and different and by yourself and unworthy, that's when the shaitan will come and start inspiring words of, you're not worthy and you're poor and you're broke. Look at you. Look how ugly you are. That's when the shaitan comes and starts inspiring words in you. But if you have a healthy foundation, it's very hard for the devil to come to you. Very hard. He will come to you, but you'll just be like, excuse me? Hell no. And this is what I had to do. I had to learn how to do this after I healed from religious trauma. Now, another thing I want to talk about is spiritual abuse. And I've been through a lot of spiritual abuse in my life. So here are some signs of spiritual abuse: that someone is manipulating you, or you have been manipulated into certain actions from a religious perspective. So let's say, for example, the biggest one I've been spiritually abused about is hijab. That women wear the hijab because we are the devils. I was actually told this when I reverted to Islam, that we're considered the devils because the devil perches itself on my bum every time I walk out. I don't know if this is like a authentic hadith, but apparently the devil puts himself on my bum or my knees or whatever and makes a man lust after me. And then the hadith about all women are going to hell, that was always used against me, that the majority of women in hellfire the majority of people in hellfire are women. So that spiritual abuse was like in the background my whole life. Even though I wasn't raised Muslim, I was around Muslim people and around Muslim friends. I had a lot of Muslim friends, and they often spoke about this. And I was like, what kind of religion are you following? I do not want to be Muslim. Like, I hated Islam growing up. I was on the side of people, the non-Muslim side of 9/11. I just did not like Muslim because of how much I was bullied by them. It's a miracle. It's only by Allah that I'm a Muslim now. But the amount of times that I was bullied my whole school life from Muslim, because I went to a majority Muslim school, South Asians, it was just horrendous. And one of the things I heard was like, women are just going to go to hell. That's it. we have no other purpose other than to go to hell because Adam ate from the tree because of Eve. Right. That's what I was told. Another sign of spiritual abuse is it comes from narcissism, and you will hear from the men. So the men in your life, whether it's your father, your brother, your husband, whoever it is, your grandparents, your uncles, they are constantly hounding you about the way you dress. Constantly. Cover your boobs, cover your bum, wear a longer dress, hurting you, punishing you if you show one strand of hair. I remember hearing growing up that if a woman shows one strand of hair, that hair's going to be in Jahannam. It's just like everything about women was Jahannam, Jahannam, Jahannam. My whole life was breathing about Jahannam and hell. I learned about this because I was around Muslim. So I knew what Jahannam was. I knew what Allah was, the name for God was. I knew a little bit about Islam. I studied it in religious education. I understood it. And another thing about spiritual abuse, that you're abused sexually. If you're married, like, you are raped a lot. You go through rape. And you believe it's okay because that hadith is used against you, that if you don't let your husband be intimate with you, then the angels will curse you until the morning. And another thing is, like, you're always told that if you leave the house without your husband's permission, the angels will curse you. So your whole existence, basically, the way to control you, this is how you know you've been spiritually abused. The way to control you is to tell you you're going to hell. That's what happened to me. If you read my ebook is out now, God Ain't a Man. That's what when I got married and how I reverted to Islam, I learned that my whole existence is just to go to hell. That's how it felt. Genuinely, I used to say to Allah, like, Allah, please just take my soul now. Because if I'm going to go to hell, just let me go now. Because why would I rack up the years? Why am I racking up sins? Why am I racking up all these sins just for me to spend more time in hell? Like, there's a slim chance I'm going to go to Jannah. That's how I used to feel. There's a slim chance that I'm going to go to heaven. There's like literally 0.00001% chance. That's how I felt because of the religious trauma I went through and the spiritual abuse. Now, how does this connect to feminine energy? Now, a lot of feminine energy coaches will tell you about how to be feminine for a man. And this is what I really, really annoys me. This is what really like irritates me because feminine energy has nothing to do with men. Nothing. In fact, feminine energy is everything that a woman is without a man. It's how potent and how powerful and how magnetic and how enough you can be as a woman. It's actually about decentering men from your life. When you have religious trauma, what will happen is you will replace your God in a man. You will make any man a God in your life. You will worship him. And in Islam, especially because of the cult I was in, I'll call it a cult. I'm not going to name the cult, but an Islamic cult I was in, that the way it was that men are meant to be worshipped. And they actually use that hadith that Aisha radiallahu anha said that, or Prophet Sallallahu said that, if Allah was to order anyone to worship someone, he would order the wife to worship the husband. And even if she was to lick the pus of his wound, it would not enumerate to the rights he has over her. That was a common hadith that was used against me and in this cult. And what religious trauma teaches you is to actually worship men. Is to make men the center of your life. And this is why I can't hang out with women who make men the center of their life. I can't listen to feminine energy coaches who make men the center of your life. I understand if you're in a healed space and now you want to get married, perfect. Feminine energy coaches who teach you about how to get with the right man, they are perfect for you. But if you're in a space where you have this religious trauma, where you haven't embodied your potency, your feminine energy, who you really are at the core, without all these labels that you place upon yourself, getting with a guy, getting married is a no-no. It's like another traumatic event for you. It's going to become a traumatic event for you, and you're going to cry yourself to sleep every night, and you're going to perpetuate the sabotage cycle of believing that you're just not, there's nothing good about you. So this is why I don't listen to feminine energy coaches who say how to be more feminine for a man. This is why the work I do is all about being feminine and reconnecting to God. Because the only way that you can be in your feminine energy is if you connect to God. This is what I've learned in all my years of healing from spiritual abuse and being healed now and being this woman that I've always dreamt of being, like uninhibited, wild, myself. I say what I want. I say how it is. I don't care about judgment. I only care about God and my relationship with God. That's feminine energy. My relationship with God matters way more than any relationship I have in the world. It matters way more than my children's relationship. Because when I'm connected to God and I believe God loves me and I believe that God wants the best for me and I believe that God wants me to succeed, he wants me in Jannah, he wants me in heaven, I am the best person for my kids, for my husband, for my clients, for my business, for the world. I'm the best person. Because I have the mindset now that I'm meant to be here for a purpose, a worthy purpose. I was born worthy. The moment Allah created me is because he believed I was worthy. That's why he put me on earth, for a worthy purpose. But you need to reconnect to Allah. You need to reconnect to God for you to embody that feminine energy, because your feminine energy needs a masculine structure. And as much as I say that God to me is more mothering, I feel God is more mothering because the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah is more merciful than your own mother, 100 times more merciful. And Allah has mentioned, like, he's made connections of being a mother and connections to Allah's attributes a lot. So to me, Allah is nurturing because he's Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. He's merciful. He's compassionate. He's compassionate. Who has more compassion, a man or a woman? Well, look at the world we're in today. Who has more compassion? Look at the G side. Is that from is it a woman who's doing that, or is it a man? Who is more merciful? a man or a woman. Now, I'm not saying that God is a woman. He's not. أعوذ بالله من ذلك. I would never attribute an actual gender quality to God. But in my mind, God is nurturing. He nurtures me. He supports me. He loves me. He protects me. He's my ultimate protector. He's my best friend. He's the one I call. When I'm having a bad day, he's the one I call. He's the one I turn to. He's like my speed dial. He's on speed dial for me. I speak to him every single day. The same way that I used to speak to my mom every single day for hours upon hours upon hours. That's the relationship I have with God. And that's why I'm so much in my feminine energy. A lot of people message me saying that I've never met anyone like you in the online space. My coaches even say the same thing to me. They say to me, I don't see you as a coach. You're someone else. You're just not a coach. You're not, don't class yourself as a coach. You're something else. You are full embodiment of everything a woman desires to be. That's who you are. And I always tell them, because I'm so deeply connected to God. If I connected myself to a man, I would not be here. I'll be too busy mothering men. And this is what us women do. When we are so disconnected from God and we're using men to help us embody our feminine energy, because remember, men are consumers, women are givers. Think about the sun. In Arabic, the word sun, shams, is a feminine word, feminine noun. The word qamar, moon, is a masculine noun. The sun burns bright. Every single day it burns itself out for the moon to reflect the sun's light, meaning that the masculine is consuming and the feminine is giving. So if I'm giving my all to a man and he's consuming my energy, who is replenishing me? It's not a man, because a man can't replenish me. The man can create a safe space for me to embody my feminine energy, but I have to find that replenishment from something else, from a different source. And the only source I can find it from is God, because God is unlimited in his abundance, in his giving energy. Allah is abundant in it. He has an unlimited reserve. The way I like to see it is like Allah has a bank account for me that has an unlimited amount of money, an unlimited amount of energy, an unlimited amount of power, that whenever I ask Allah to just, give me some of my reserve, he will give it to me. That's the way I see it in my mind. There's a bank account reserved in my name, Rosalind Batu, and it's unlimited. It's like there's no, when I ask Allah, Allah doesn't get irritated. He actually loves it when I ask him. He wants me to constantly ask him. He wants me to make him the center of my world. Because the hadith that says that when the servant of Allah does not ask Allah, Allah gets upset with him. Because Allah wants to be asked. That's one of his attributes. He wants to give to you. He feels so happy to give to you. That even when you ask for something and he can't give it to you right then because he knows what he's going to do, maybe you're not ready to receive it, he will give you something else. So if I ask God for money and I don't get the money right away, he might give me peace. He might be giving me some kind of joy. He might give me a connection with someone. Or maybe I'll have a moment of silence and it's just so peaceful and joyful. Or my kids will say something nice to me. Or I'll just have a fun time with my children. I love hanging out with my kids. I just love it so much. I like being away from them. I just feel like I want to be with them. They're like my best friends. So Allah is always replacing, giving me something better than what I asked for if he doesn't want to give it to me in that moment. Because Allah loves doing that for me. That's how much he loves me. He's my masculine structure in my life that I run to when I need something, that I run to when I want to express gratitude. He's the one that I go to. That's what helps me stay in my feminine energy. That's what replenishes me, not a man. A man does not replenish me. A man will take from me. Like my husband, he's a loving, amazing husband. I don't believe he takes from me. I don't see it. I don't see him consuming from me, but I know he consumes my energy. He says it to me all the time that being in your energy, I just love it. I love being in your energy. But me, I have to be in a place of overflow in order for him to take from my energy. Now imagine if I'm deficit, if I'm in the red with my energy, if I'm in overdraft, if I'm in the minus and my husband is around me, I'm not going to be a happy person to be around. He's going to be I don't like being in your energy. You're just always on edge and you're always just nagging. But because I'm so full, I can't explain to you. I'm so full, I've had a full healthy meal and a little cup of coffee at the end of it. I'm so full in myself, full of myself. I'm full of myself. I'm proud to say that in a good way. Because if I'm not full of myself, I'm going to be full of something else. And that something else is going to be negative. That's going to bring down my mental health and make me disconnect from Allah. I never, ever, ever, ever want to ever disconnect from Allah ever in my life ever again. The way I was disconnected from Allah before, I never want to go back to that. Like the way I'm talking about Allah, you may be getting triggered. You may be thinking your cognitive dissonance will come up, of course, because when you've been in a dogma, indoctrinated in a religion that has taught you to hate yourself, everything I'm saying is a total opposite of what you've been taught, and your cognitive dissonance will come up and will find ways that I'm wrong, which is okay. But I want you to understand, I've been on both ends of the scale. I have been broke in my mind. I have been heartbroken over men. I have been hurt by Muslim men, especially. My own dad as well was a Muslim man. I have been hurt by men who claim to be religious to the point that I was suicidal. And I've also been in love with Allah. And I choose being in love with Allah over everything. I choose to believe that Allah likes me. How's that feel? Just to say to yourself, Allah likes me. That's why I pray to him, because he really likes me. He likes listening to me. Allah likes listening to me. He doesn't call me to pray to punish me because I have to go and eradicate some sins, which is what we're taught. Allah is calling me to pray because he likes listening to me. He likes seeing me stand there in front of him. He just likes it. He likes my presence too, because Allah says, I am as my slave thinks of me. If I think that Allah likes me, I'm going to start liking myself. And then when I like myself, I'm going to embody my feminine energy. And when I'm in my feminine energy, I'm a healed woman. And I go around and I heal spaces. I create abundance in spaces. I make the world a better place. When I'm in that healed, embodied feminine energy that is so totally connected to Allah, where I love myself and I'm full of myself, guess what? I also give people the permission to be themselves too. And this is what every single lady says to me in Sacred Feminine Pleasure. Every single woman has said to me, Rose, you have taught me how to be myself. And do you know why? Because I'm just a mirror. I want you to be yourself. I want you. I crave it for you so badly. I crave so badly for you to be yourself, for you to be full of yourself. When I meet a woman who is full of herself, do you know how giddy I get? I'm just like, oh my God, girl. I'm crushing on her. I'm just like, oh my God, this girl is amazing. I'm loving on her because she's teaching me also how to be full of myself. We're all mirroring each other. We all are a reflection of each other. So when you are full of yourself, you are teaching, you're giving people the permission, women the permission to be full of themselves. And guess what happens when women are full of themselves, full of Allah's energy, full of Allah's love? Guess what happens? The masculine will rise. There'll be less wars. There'll be less pain. There'll be less harm. Right now, the world has become a bachelor pad where men are just blowing things up because they've got nothing else to do, because the women are like so stuck in making men, worshipping men. I call it phallic worshipping. Just Google what phallic worshipping is. Women are like phallic worshipping, trying to be feminine for a man, mothering men, trying to fix men. And that's why men have made this world a bachelor's pad. The feminine energy has been repressed and it's coming back. The feminine energy is coming back. Women are rising. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing Muslim women like with their comebacks on these Muslim men on podcasts. I'm seeing it. I'm loving it. I'm loving how all these women are coming together, especially this next generation. They're coming together and they're like, no, we're not standing for that. Hell no. Like I was just on TikTok the other day and Sneeko said that women can't learn religion without a man. And the women that came out saying, are you stupid? Are you stupid? I learnt my religion from my mom, and I'm the same. I learnt my religion from my mom. She's the one who taught me Surah Fatiha. Even though I wasn't raised a Muslim, she was raised a Shia, and she knew the Surah. And every time I think about when I read Surah Fatiha, she gets a reward for it. Like I learnt my religion from my mom. I learnt how to abuse myself through a man. I learnt how to spiritually abuse myself in religion through a man. But I learned how to love myself in religion through my mom. And this is what a lot of the girls are saying on TikTok. Like, I learned my religion from a woman. There's so many female scholars that are revered, especially in Saudi Arabia. They go to female scholars. They continue the tradition of the Sahabas going to Aisha radiallahu anha for knowledge. They do that in Saudi Arabia, but you're not going to get taught that because the religion is watered down in the UK and the US, and it's been made a patriarchal system, a misogynistic system. Like these Muslim men talk about how feminism is haram, but misogyny is also haram. Misogyny is even worse because Allah tells men to be good to women. The Prophet ﷺ said, if the best of men are the ones who are best to their wives. And this hadith always goes over people's heads. Always. Like, it's like men will find a way to say that this hadith is not sahih, is not authentic. They'll find all the ways that it's not, just for them to be shitty men. That's it. They just want to be shitty men. And do you know why? Because their mothers enable them. And this is what happens when you are not connected to Allah deeply. And I mean deeply, like your bones, your soul, your nerves, your cells. You are full of that love of Allah, that no one can step to you. No one can step to you and make you doubt yourself. I'm telling you now, people have tried to make me doubt myself, have tried to make me feel like I'm not a good enough Muslim. And I always rebuke them in the name of Allah. I'm like, I rebuke you, because Allah will resist you. If you try and come for me, God is my weapon. Allah will come for you. And every single person who tries to come for me has been their downfall. Unfortunately, I've never made dua against them. I've always made dua for Allah to guide them, but it's been their downfall, because I'm not the type of person to put out hate in the world, because I know that Allah will G-check me. I know God will G-check me. In fact, one of my bullies from school messaged me on Facebook the other day. She was like, hey, remember me? And I was like, yeah, I remember your ugly face. I actually sent that back to her. I replied back to her. I had to delete it. I deleted it so quickly because Allah was G-checking me in that moment. I felt so guilty to put that out in the world. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have said things to people in a fit of rage when I was angry. And I'm to this day still regretful of what I've said. To this day, I remember what I said and I'm like, never again will I ever say that ever again. I cry about it. So I know that when people are using religion against one another, it's because they're not worshiping Allah. They're worshiping their own selves and their own ego and their own insecurities. And this is why I say about feminine energy. When mothers enable their sons to be these boys that are worshipped, they become abusive men. And then they run around in societies and communities and religious groups teaching other men how to abuse women because they were allowed to abuse their mothers. And guess what happens? They will start talking about women need to be covered and wear their hijab properly and blah, 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 because they want to control women so that they can pick those women to get married to and so they can continue the cycle. This is why I always say to women, we need to heal. We need to decenter men from our lives. Stop worshipping men and start worshipping Allah and reconnecting our feminine energy to Allah and to God, because that is going to stop us from getting into marriages and to relationships that harm us. Do you know how many women are being unalived by their own husbands right now in the Muslim and non-Muslim communities? It's absolutely abhorrent. It's disgusting. We shouldn't be procreating with abusive men. We shouldn't be. And this is what they teach. When you're being religiously abused and gone through religious trauma, you're taught that marriage is half your faith. Yes, of course, it's half the man's faith. I believe marriage for a man is half his faith because he's missing a rib. He's disabled. Okay? Without that rib, he's disabled. He's defected. So he needs to go and find his rib in order for him to feel whole as a man. Because the feminine energy keeps him whole. It keeps him healed. It keeps him in a state of purity. It keeps him in a state of being close to Allah. But when a man is not married, or he hasn't done the work to heal himself, he will go around harming society. And this is what we're seeing right now. And everything I'm saying, you can see the proof of it. You can see the proof of it everywhere. When you are raised in like a matriarchal society, I live in West Africa, in a matriarchal country. Women run the show here, and there's no violence. There's not been any civil wars in this country ever. Like, you will see the men fight, but they don't hurt each other. They just shout at each other and they go away. They don't like violence because it's matriarchal. The women run the show. The women run their communities. And this is how it's meant to be. Women are meant to build the communities and men are meant to protect it away from abusive men. That's what makes a man alpha. An alpha man is a man who G-checks men, who keeps men in their place, who tells men how to act. If a man is acting silly around another man, guess what? None of those men are alpha men. They are abusive men. If a man is talking down about a woman in front of another man and that man does not check him, he is not an alpha man. He is an abusive man. And I see it a lot on the online space, especially in the dawah scenes, of all these men talking about women in the most disgusting way. And the men are laughing about it. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are disgusting. You studied in Medina. You studied in Mecca. You talk a brag about it. I've got a diploma and this and this and that. But you're there talking ish about women, thinking it's funny. Instead of G-checking a man and saying to the man, nuh-uh, That's not how you speak about women. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not allow it. He said, be good to women. He told the men, please be good to women. Before he died, one thing that will always get to me is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, before he was dying, to the men, please look after the women. Please, because he understood, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was pro-women. He understood the feminine energy. He knew about it. He understood it. He understands the value of a woman. He understood our worth. He understood that we're valuable, that we need to be protected. Because when we're not protected, the world becomes a mess, which what it is right now. And that's why we're seeing men who are growing up thinking that they're the kings of their castle and thinking they need to be worshipped. And that's why they look for women to abuse by putting out this information that, you know, women about their hijabs, about the way they dress, about the way they talk, all this stuff, because they have a diseased mind. When they have a diseased mind and they don't take accountability for their own diseased minds, which by the way, Allah has said in the Quran to the women that be careful how you speak to these men, because these men have a diseased mind. Be careful how you speak to a man, because his heart has a disease. He never said to women, your heart, your voice has a disease. He said, be careful how you speak to these men because of the disease in his man's heart. He might fall in love with you. What is Allah trying to tell you here? It's not trying to say that you're the problem. Allah is saying that men are the problem. And I'm teaching you how to protect yourself. It's like going to martial arts school and learning how to do jiu-jitsu, learning the moves. That's what Allah is saying to you. Learn the moves on how to navigate through these men. Because these men are no good. They have a diseased heart. Allah is letting us know that men have the defect, not us women. And I'm not saying we're perfect. Of course we're not. We have all our flaws. But Allah has made it very clear to us that we need to rise as women. That's why there's a whole chapter called Surah An-Nisa, the women. There's a whole chapter on Maryam alayhi salam. There's a whole chapter on a woman who wanted to get divorced from her husband. There are so many stories in the Quran of women getting their rights. Hadiths about women getting their rights, but we're not taught this because we enable men. And this is what happens when you are in this religious trauma, you've had spiritual abuse. What you will do, you will seek a man to mother. You will seek a man to fix, to heal, hoping it will heal that void within you that can only be filled with Allah. I know, I'm an expert in this. I've been married thinking that marriage is going to heal me. I've had babies thinking that the babies will heal that marriage. And it didn't. The only thing that could heal that void within me was Allah. When I reconnected truly to God, after healing my traumas, after healing that daddy wound, healing my mother wound, healing the feminine wound, healing my need to be masculine and releasing my masculine shield and allowing Allah to protect me, allowing Allah in, letting go of control, releasing my anger, healing the grief and the betrayal, the abandonment, healing all of that helped me come to this woman that I am now, where I'm thriving. I'm thriving in religion. I'm thriving in my relationship with Allah. You know, I could go through the worst days, and I've been through some worst days even after healing, but it's like Allah is upgrading me. I always see it as an upgrade of my feminine energy. Like I went through a recent challenge like last year. Girl, it was absolutely horrendous. I went through a miscarriage. Because of the stress that I went through. It was horrible. It was painful. But in that moment, I unlocked another spiritual gift. I unlocked something within me that Allah wanted me to release, wanted me to embody. And I'm living in that, I'm living in this, like, the only way I can explain it is like, I'm just enjoying existing. I'm no longer worried about, I don't even think about the future anymore. I don't think about the future in a way of like, I need to get that, I need to have it. I feel like I have it now. It's like, I feel like I'm in the fifth dimension. Like I'm in a totally different dimension. I'm not living in a 3D reality. And when I ask Allah for things, like Allah give me a sign, Allah gives me a sign. I hear it in my mind. I hear something in my mind. Sometimes my ears will ring and I will get a download. And I'm just sat there thinking, okay, Allah, I will go with it. And I trust Allah so much. Since that challenge I went through, I trust Allah. Oh my gosh, I trust Him more than ever before. Whenever I get a sign, even if it's like a little whisper, I will go with it. Like today, I wanted to go for breakfast. It was a whisper. Girl, go for breakfast. I went for breakfast. Instead of coming down straight to do my work, Allah was guiding me to go for breakfast. And I had the best breakfast ever. And I was so full. Because Allah wants to take care of me. Do you see how feminine energy is? When I'm listening to Allah, when I'm connected to Allah, Allah will replenish me. He will replenish me and put me in overflow so that I can give to you. so I can give to my kids, so I can give to my husband, so I can give to the world, so I can give back to Allah, so I can pray properly, so I can make dua from a place of love and abundance rather than from a place of insecurity and scarcity and lack. Allah told me to go for breakfast. Go replenish yourself, girl, because you know you want some breakfast. 5-star meal. Went to a 5-star hotel. Sat down, enjoyed my meal, not even thinking about what I need to do. I was just so immersed in the moment. It's like Allah is teaching me to be in the present moment all the time. Like even when I'm afraid to do it, like going for breakfast when I have some things to do. No. Allah was like, go for breakfast. Follow that intuition. Follow that nudge. I followed the nudge, and when I came back, I was so full. That's the what the feminine energy needs. The feminine energy needs to always be in overflow before she can give. Because Allah knew that if I just sat down straight away to do my work, I wouldn't be coming from a place of love or intention or abundance. And Allah, the work I do isn't just coaching, it's from Allah. I'm like the vessel for Allah to put this work out in the world. This is not something that, a lot of people ask me, like, how did you learn it? I don't know, because Allah just gave it to me. That's how I express it. I'm just a vessel for Allah to use me to put this work in the world. That's how I see myself. And if I don't listen to Allah's nudges and His signs, I will pay the price. Not you, I will. I will pay the price in something happening in my life, whether I'm tired, exhausted, whether I'm frustrated and irritated, all these things will come up because I chose not to listen to Allah. And this is what you need to be like. You need to embody this. And it's not even it's a need and a want. You should want to embody it. You should want to feel this way. You should want this more than a man, children, money. You should want this feeling with Allah more than anything. This is the true essence of feminine energy. Because when you do that, girl, do you know what you do? You heal communities. You heal the religious trauma in other people. You heal women who never knew that they needed to be healed. You heal so many things, your generation, your legacy, your lineage, 7 generations back, 7 generations forward. Like, I want you to imagine in your mind that somewhere in your lineage, there was a grandmother who was being spiritually abused. There was a grandmother who was being spiritually abused, being taught that she was a curse, that she should have been buried alive. You may have had a grandmother who had to bury her daughter alive because she was a daughter. She was considered worthless. You are healing that by reconnecting to Allah. You are healing that by choosing Allah over using a man to heal you. You are choosing Allah to nurture you instead of looking for a man to nurture you and nurture your wounds and soothe your wounds. Because you will not attract a man who's going to heal you. Because Allah says good men are for good women, bad men are for bad women. Meaning, healed men are for healed women, unhealed men are for unhealed women. So when you're an unhealed woman, chasing men, chasing validation through men, making men the center of your life, you are mothering men. You are exasperating the problem. You are teaching men that it's okay to be unhealed because I'm also unhealed. And you are keeping your standards very low. And you're teaching men that it's okay, especially in the Muslim community. You're teaching men that it's okay for me to have low standards and for you to abuse me. I will just repeat the cycle, it's fine. It's okay, I don't mind it. You're teaching men to abuse you because remember, everyone treats you the way you treat yourself. If you believe that you're not worthy and you're only as worthy as a man sees the worth in you, like if you're chosen by a man, you're teaching these men that they can do whatever they want. They can wear a beard, have a thobe on, they can do whatever they want, say a few ayahs of the Quran, and that is enough. They're not even putting the effort into healing themselves or awakening their own masculine energy by respecting women, by treating women kind, by loving the feminine energy, by encouraging the feminine energy. When you look at Islam, feminine energy is encouraged. It's actually encouraged. Women are spiritual, we're intuitive. That's our primal instinct. Our intuition is encouraged. That's what men should be protecting. But if you don't heal yourself and you try and get a man to fix you, you are teaching men to continue to be abusive. And this is why communities and this is why the world is the way it is. And in fact, you're teaching your daughters to be in the same cycle. I know when I got remarried, even before I got remarried, I didn't want to remarry. I was like, I don't want to teach my daughters that it's okay for them to be abused by men. I don't want to teach my daughters that. I don't want my daughters to go through what I went through. I don't. It's not about my daughters being successful. I never thought about in my life, I'm going to teach my kids to be successful. No, I said, I'm going to teach my daughters how to love themselves, how to reconnect to Allah, how to really deeply love Allah, that no man, no woman, no one will ever step to them and make them feel like a victim or hurt them or bully them or harass them. That was my goal for my daughters. It wasn't about them making money because one of my daughters wants to be a police officer. My other daughter wants to be an artist. I'm like, yeah, girl, do what you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't define you. What defines you is your relationship with God. What defines you is your character. Because once you reconnect to Allah, your character changes. You become more compassionate, more merciful, more loving. You become this vessel of unconditional love, which is what we're meant to experience in the earth. We're meant to experience unconditional love because Allah is unconditional love. He is unconditional love because even the non-believers, people who mock Allah, they are still alive. That means Allah has unconditional love. He's giving them a chance. So when you reconnect to Allah and you embody that feminine energy, you become unconditional love. And you see people through their traumas. You no longer get triggered. You no longer get offended when someone says something bad to you. Instead, you are compassionate and see them for who they are, that inner child who never felt unconditional love. So it's time for you to reconnect to Allah, girl. It's time for you to stop looking for men to heal you. Stop looking to have a baby for a man to heal you. To stop mothering men. Stop being the mother that you wanted, or even in the sense of wanting a son because you think that's going to heal you too. I believe that. When I was having my first child, I was praying for a son. I was like, Allah, please let this be a boy. You know why? When I look back at it subconsciously, I was still trying to heal my father. I was still trying to heal my dad through my son. I was hoping that once I have a son, I can change him and make him a better version of my dad, the dad that I really wanted. That's what was happening subconsciously. And also because I wanted my ex-husband to love me more because I had a son. I thought that by having a son, he's going to love me more because he's passed on his heritage and his lineage. That didn't work out either. And this is another thing that we go through as women. We believe boys are better. We believe having boys and sons are better than daughters. Girl, I love my daughters. Every time I got pregnant with my daughters and I heard it was a girl, the amount of sujood that I made of shukr to Allah for blessing me with a girl just like me, who's going to be better than me. The amount of tears I cried because I was so grateful to Allah. I'm breaking that cycle of believing that girls are a curse and boys are the kings. Because even in my own family, in my mom's side of her family, the boys were revered and worshipped and the girls were seen as a curse, as a slave. My mom was raised as a slave. She was raised to look after her younger siblings and to just get married to the cousin and to carry on the family status and reputation. I'm breaking that cycle by teaching my daughters that they are valuable and they're worthy. And this is what you need to do. You need to believe you are worthy because Allah created you with a purpose. I know I rambled on. I know I may have taken some detours in this podcast and this episode. It's all from Allah. Everything that I do, the transmissions I get is from Allah. It's what you need to hear. And I pray that this episode has healed something within you, because that was my intention, for you to listen to this episode to heal something within you, because you are worthy of being healed. You are. You're worthy of being healed. You're worthy of the love you give. You're worthy of the love you give to others, hoping it will heal your broken heart. You're worthy of it. You're worthy of the love that you perceive in other people for yourself. You're worthy of Allah's love. Allah created you because He believes you're worthy. He created you with that assured mindset that you're worthy, you're lovable, you're good enough, you're important, you're special, you're chosen. You're chosen, girl. You know when people say, I'm the chosen one? Everyone's chosen. Everyone that came to earth is chosen because we made an oath, we made a contract with Allah that we are going to come to earth. The mountains and the trees said no. The stars said no. We said yes. You are chosen. You have been chosen by Allah. And I want you to really embody that special feeling. Make yourself feel special. You are special. There's nothing wrong with feeling special about yourself. In fact, there needs to be more of it. You need to feel special about yourself so you can raise your standards and set better boundaries. When you believe you're special and you have something to give, you will set better boundaries and raise your standards and stop attracting men that you need to mother and heal and fix and be a rehab center for them. And you will teach men that they can't come to you and abuse you. When I healed myself and I healed that wound within me, the religious trauma. The men that I was attracting before I got married to my husband, they realized that they can't make me believe anything other than I am worthy. I'm worth it. Because before, for so long, I was being told that I'm a single mother, I'm a divorcee, I'm not worth much other than being a sex slave for a few men. That's what I was told. That I should just accept what comes my way because there's not much out there. No man's gonna want me. And when I healed that religious trauma and stopped mothering men and stopped trying to fix men because I wanted to fix my dad, I healed that daddy wound. When men approached me, they knew that they could not step to me. Even my husband said the same thing to me. He goes, when I met you, I just knew like you have high standards. You were not bothered about my existence, which made me even want you more, which made me want to step up to the plate and be the man that can protect you and provide for you. Because I did not give him any inclination that I wanted to get married. I even said to him, I don't want to get married. I want to remain single for the rest of my life. I'm not interested. And when he asked for my brother's number, I was like, okay, this guy is serious. I was like, okay. After the first day, he's like, can I have your brother's number so I can talk to him? Because he wasn't getting through to me. Hell no. I was like, yeah, talk to my brother. I'll see. And I gave him my brother's number. My brother and him started chatting. That's the kind of woman you become. That's the woman you need to become in order for the masculine to rise and awaken. Because right now the masculine energy is in its toxicity and the feminine energy is hidden, is repressed. Feminine energy is meant to run the world while the masculine energy is meant to protect the feminine energy. That's how it's always meant to be. This is why we see the world in anarchy, because the feminine energy is not being protected. It's being abused. It's being hijacked. Men want to be women now because they want to hijack the feminine and we're supposed to accept it. And even so in the Muslim community, men want to have the same privileges as women when they're not meant to have that privilege. They're meant to be the protectors and providers of women. So heal, girl. Heal. You are worthy of healing. You are worthy of it. Heal before you get married. And if you are married, heal. Still heal. And if you're afraid of losing your marriage because you're healed, that's from Allah. It's from Allah. It's something that's meant for you. If you're afraid of losing your marriage, that's okay. That's a normal feeling to have. But are you willing to spend the rest of your life in a situation that you're not happy in? Or you don't feel content in? Or you feel like worthless in? Are you willing to spend the rest of your life until the day you die? And then you meet Allah and say, Allah, I believe I was worthless. That's why I stayed in this marriage. That's why I stayed in this relationship or with these friends or in this career. Are you willing to take that risk? That's the question. Because when you have religious trauma, you become reckless about your own life and you don't care about what you do. You don't care how people treat you. That's bad. That's really bad. Because Allah didn't create you to be abused. Allah says He does not accept oppression. He does not accept oppression and He doesn't want you to oppress yourselves. So you're oppressing yourself by telling yourself, I'm in a situation that I can't get out of. This is just my qadr, it's my life, it's meant to be this way. No, it's not. Nowhere did Allah say, stay in a relationship that is harming you, that is abusing you for my sake. Because Allah said He has forbidden oppression upon you. He's forbidden it, including oppression in marriage. And this is why you need to get out of this mindset of this. This is why you need to heal the religious trauma so you can stop abusing yourself through religion. Because religion is not here to abuse you. It's here to elevate you. It's here to upgrade your mindset. When I became a Muslim, my life changed. I became more feminine. Even though I went through a marriage that spiritually abused me because I was abusing myself, girl. It's not because a guy was abusing me, it's because I was abusing myself. I was using a religion to abuse myself. I was making it okay for myself to abuse myself through religion, which Allah has forbidden. Allah doesn't want to abuse me. I abuse myself and use Allah as an excuse. And that's probably what you're doing. In your life, you're probably using religion as an excuse because you just don't know how else to take accountability for your life. When you take accountability, you heal. You rise in your feminine energy, you embody her. You become that it girl, that girl. A lot of people say to me, you're that girl. Yes, I am that girl. I will always be that girl. Because I chose to take accountability for my life, for where I was in life. And everything that happened in my life was my decision. It was my choice because I have free will. Allah gave me all the signs. He showed me the signs, but I ignored them. It's the same for you. You're ignoring signs. This is a sign right now. You're listening to this episode and you're probably going to ignore it and say to yourself, yeah, it's great. That was a nice episode. Let me go back to my reality and let me just accept it. And if you're listening to this, the thing that makes you different is that you're choosing to not stay in the same cycle. You're choosing to move on and heal. And that's commendable. I know it's scary. I know it's frightening to be different to what you've always known, to what you've been taught, to what you've been indoctrinated with. But I promise you, girl, on this side, girl, we are partying all night long, thriving. Whatever challenge comes my way, I'm like, bring it. I'm ready. I've been ready. I was born ready. I'm unstoppable. We are unstoppable on this side. You can become unstoppable too. Triggerless, girl. Confident, magnetic, powerful, sexy, beautiful. All those things you dream of. Because I know, girl, when you're by yourself, you're dreaming about all the things that you wish it could be. And like rehearsing all those comebacks to people who are hurting you. Girl, why do you need to rehearse it? Just be it. Heal it. Be healed. You can heal permanently. You can be healed. It's not a healing journey. The healing journey has a destination to be healed, to embody your feminine energy, to embrace your powerful womanhood, to embrace the power of your womb. That's what you're meant to do. So, girl, I lovingly invite you into sacred feminine pleasure. I'm inviting you to 8 weeks, a sacred initiation into your womanhood. 8 weeks of healing, 8 areas of your life. Healing your money traumas, love traumas, the traumas you have around success, the traumas you have around being authentic, the traumas you have around your feminine energy, the traumas you have around your intuition, the traumas you have around your faith, your connection with God, and the traumas you have around your health. We're healing it all, girl. Every single area. So you can be healed and embody your feminine energy. You know that your feminine energy, that little girl that's so creative and imaginative? She's just so giddy and happy and playful. You're going to embody her after 8 weeks. You're going to be that girl. People are going to look at you and think, oh my gosh, what did you do that's so different? Your skin is glowing. You're smiling more. Girl, like I love being in your energy. What's different? Well, sacred feminine pleasure. That's what you did. You invested in sacred feminine pleasure and you said to yourself, I am worthy. I am worthy of being healed. I can heal. So I'm going to take a lifetime to heal 8 years of my life. Hell no. It can take 8 weeks, just 8 weeks. You could be this confident, magnetic, powerful woman that walks into any room and everyone just stops and stares and thinks, who's that girl? Girl, I wear a face veil and I walk into rooms and people stop because they always say to me, your aura is just so charming and magnetic. That could be you too. That will be you, girl. That will be that people will be fussing over you, trying to get you just to stay in their place because you are so magnetic and abundant. Your husband will be all over you, finding you irresistible. He'll be like, what did you do? Have you lost weight? Did you get Botox? There's something different about you. And he'll just find you so irresistible. He'll just be gifting you all the time, giving you things like without you asking. Like I had one lady in Sacred Feminine Pleasure. She was having so much trouble in her marriage. And then within 8 weeks, he had booked her a holiday. They had been married for like 15 years and she's always nagging him. And the things that I taught her in Sacred Feminine Pleasure, and after she healed those 8 areas of her life, actually she was only in week 4. Week 4 is authenticity. And she was like, my husband has booked me a romantic getaway. I'm like, what, girl? She was like, yeah, a romantic getaway. I didn't even ask him. He just wants to impress me. I'm like, girl, because you're embodying your feminine energy. Another lady in Sacred Feminine Pleasure, she was telling me that her husband is feeding her strawberries in bed. Like, what? Girl, what? Another lady, oh my gosh, this was the best one. They're all best, by the way. But this was like, so I remember it. She messaged me and she said to me that she divorced her ex-husband because he was, her father forced her to get married to him. So she divorced him. She had a kid with him. And then she got married to the love of her life. And now she's pregnant. And it's happened like a few times in Sacred Feminine Pleasure of ladies getting divorced and then finding their true soulmate and then getting pregnant and living their best life. It's happened so many times. So this is possible for you too. Believe it, girl. You're listening to this episode. You're hearing these experiences, these stories, not because they make believe, because they're true. And they're true for you too. It can be you. I could be talking about you in the next episode. So join Sacred Feminine Pleasure. Click the link in my description. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on my Instagram, Rosalind Batul. And yeah, girl, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I love you so much. May Allah bless you with everything you pray for. May Allah give you the best in this life and the hereafter. May Allah make you a healed woman. Ameen. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.